Kyk, die
Ek gaan nie
brake.
vanaand musiek speel nie. Ek dink nie, miskien moes ek die musiek gespeel het.
Wat?
So, ek dink dit is aan, laat ek
Ons vat
kyk.
dit maar aan. Ja.
Hoekom sê hy nou nie vir my, ons is live nie?
Hy wys hier by my.
Alright,
Corbins.
cool. So, ons vergeet net so rukkie dat almal, just give it a little bit of time so that everybody can join.
Ja.
Maybe tonight is one of those days that everybody is avoiding this topic, like we have been avoiding.
Yeah. So it's me and you.
Me and you talking, and maybe somebody will have the guts to listen to the recordings at some stage.
Ja, wag.
Say hello,
Hello,
guys. If you're on, please say how's it, and we would love to hear from you. And where you are, where you're from. It will be great. So, and we're going to give it another minute or so on. How's everybody's week been? How's your week been, Antonette?
Yeah, no, it's been a good week. We hopefully rehomed a few Reggies, so I'm hoping that they will go home over the weekend. So yeah, no, it's been a good week so far.
That's always a good week when dogs find their forever loving homes. Eh? Always.
Yeah, no, it's tough at the moment, but yeah. And you?
I had a very eventful week. We won't complain. It's month end. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more. I'm starting to count the days because it is almost pet health. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of things that's still popping out of the woodwork to need to do and stuff like that. So my days are busy. At least we've had horrible weather. Today was great, better, much better. It was summer and like a nice, almost summer day. But we've had terrible weather over the weekend. And yesterday the wind was so bad that I thought my house is going to pick up and go, and the dogs with it. So so I'm not sure. So Mr. Miyagi's on. Say hi, guys, if you're there. Shall we go? Yeah, we're 3 minutes in. Let's start. So hello, Antonette. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our how many episodes have we had? 16, 20. Oh no. Me. I can't believe it. Antonette, you can't to me tonight, really. This is really bad. I don't want to do this one by myself. I'm just going to give it a little bit of fun. I just can't, because this is one of those talks that we've been putting off for quite some time. And it's a difficult one. And I'm sure many of us that's listening and our pet parents, we all go through this at one stage or another. And it's one of those things.
Hallo.
As jy terug. Ek het amper gedink jy gaan my los. Dat ek dit alleen moet doen.
Ja, nee, my angel het gesê, you know what? Maybe not. And even on.
Anyway. So I think let's start and just saying, why are we talking about this subject tonight? Why are we attacking and being brave to address the things that we all actually avoid? Do you want to say why?
Retha, I think, it's one of those subjects we all know. We don't want to think about it. But, if you think when we started these podcasts, Riley just passed away that same day. That's 20 episodes ago. In this last few months, we've had to say goodbye to Diva and to Fricky. And the one question I always get asked, from my one friend, she'd never had to let her dog go. It was the first time. And she said to me, Antonette, what must I do? What am I going to, what how is this going to work, and when will I know? And I think that's the big question that everyone is always wondering: when is the right time?
And it is, like society, the mixed messages that comes out around in social media and friends and vets, and there's a lot of mixed messages, and like a lot of people say rather a day too early than a day too late. And the biggest question is, when do we know when it is a day too early, when it's a day too late? So I hope tonight we will be able to walk through this and guide people, not from a veterinary point of view, not from a nutritional point of view, not from a rescue point of view, from a pet parent's point of view, and what we have learned through our experiences over the years on giving our listeners guidance on the thing that is the hardest thing in the world to do. So guys, I just want to, for full disclosure, I have got no makeup on because I know I've been crying all afternoon preparing. So I don't want my mascara to smash and do that. From that point of view, I just, yeah. So there's going to be tears, and get your tissues ready if you feel like we could cry. It is, I think this is the one reason why I started Pawz People. So I said I'm not going to make it about nutrition, but this is the one reason why I started Pawz People, because I also years back lost 2 dogs within a 3-month period of one another, and I remember that how I felt at that stage. And today, when I went through this, I remember how I felt when I've lost my very, very first dog, and I was a teenager, and it was my very first puppy that I bought with my own money. And I felt so absolutely hopeless to make, and I didn't have much of a choice to make a decision, and I wasn't guided. And I think if we can guide people a little bit more on what is the things they need to look for, to know when, and then how to deal with the aftermath of that. Because obviously people that follows us and that's part of this community is the people that absolutely love their dogs to bits. And like somebody once said to me, "Are you crazy wishing your dogs happy birthday on Facebook?" And they're like my children. They're actually such an integral part of my life, that if you are not going to grieve, then you're lying, because every one of us grieve. We just grieve in different ways. So how do we deal with the grief in this situation? So I think that's the why. So let's start off with the first thing. So, and also I've scripted the questions and wrote down my feelings in bullet points, guys, because I'm very scared that I'm going to go too emotional and run off on a tangent and forget what I actually want to say, and to get my message. So if I look at my notes every now and again, I have crop notes tonight.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's, Rita, it's a difficult one because, society still frowns on the grief that you feel or when your dog or your cat or your pet passes away. And it's a valid grief, and it's not something to be ashamed of. And I think we need to give ourselves grace. And if you have to make notes to be able to deal with this situation, then I think that's a valid way of coping, and just managing. I mean, we haven't even started, and I want to cry. And it's because I think they are just such innocent beings that you can't but not feel the loss, and that definition, about when is the right time, when are they losing quality of life, and having to pick wanting them for one more day and feeling the guilt of keeping them for one more day a little bit longer. It's such a difficult thing to navigate. I think like with Diva, and I'll use 2 of them as an example. Diva, we agonized for about a month. Is today the day? Is today the day? And I'm thinking that, she must have felt that stress and that emotion. And then on the flip side with Fricky, we were just taking him in for a routine check. He had restarted limping and there was a bit of a lump on his shoulder. And I said to Neil, let's just take him in, get him some pain meds. And we had to let him go on the table because he was riddled with cancer and osteosarcoma. And so we weren't prepared and we didn't think. And the one reason and why I say the two, it's so different. Each situation is different. You have to look, he loved the car. He loved going in the car. And there was no anxiety with any of us going to the vet. He just got in the car and he was having a happy ride and went to the vet and it all went well until we had to do the x-rays. And he was sedated for that. And then when we looked at the x-rays and the cancer is in his lungs and everywhere, and we just said, you know what? He had a great adventure. We're not going to wake him up for maybe 3 months. And he's going to be in agony, he's going to be in pain, and he's going to feel all our emotions.
All your anxiety and emotions. Yeah. So it is a very right one. And I think we've got to be very honest about it. Being honest is always messier than just trying to avoid it. Okay. But there's really just one sign, one clear sign. There's usually a few things. There's a pattern. And when you look back at things, you can see it clearly. But sometimes when you're in it, it is really, really, really difficult to take your emotion and put it aside and do what we as guardians and caretakers of our pets must do. It is our, in Afrikaans sê ek altyd, dis ons fiduciaire plig to make the decisions for our dogs. It is so important that we make that. So what the things that I always say to clients, and I get this a lot. Remember, a lot of my clients that comes to me because the dog's either got cancer or there's so many dogs that comes to us and say, my dog has got cancer and I want to give him as long possible to live. We're not miracle workers, but we can mitigate and we can give them a little bit longer and work with certain things. But the day is gonna get there where clients must make that call. And I don't know if it's my personality. I say I'm empathetic because I'm pathetic when it comes to empathy. So I'm very I've got a lot of empathy in terms of that, and I think that is why I can relate a lot with people. And share in it, but that also comes with a heavy burden onto me to try and get, because I can't tell them when. But one of the biggest thing is if food comes into the way. When food is not, if a dog that loves food is not anymore the thing. I mean, this was such a clear sign for me with Riley, and I mean, guys, this was only 20 weeks ago, so it is still very, very raw in our house. She went ballistic for food. And she always ran to her thing, and then she will start throwing things to get her gate open to a place where she need to eat, whatever. And the first, I will never forget it. I walked out, it was the Saturday afternoon, and I walked out and I came back and Xander said to me, Raz is getting old. And I said, yes, I know, but she's still okay. And that evening she didn't want to eat. She went to her bowl, but she didn't want to eat. And that feeling of, oh shit, was so real. And so, and I know when a dog that loves their food does not want to eat, and you know that these other signs that's been showing it. So the other signs can still be, sort of negotiable, but the moment it does not want to eat. So on Sunday morning, she ate. Sunday night, she didn't eat. Monday morning, she didn't eat. We went to the vet. They looked her over. They said, listen, it's maybe just like a little bit of an obstruction. Let's make sure it's not that. She ate on Monday evening. Tuesday morning, she ate, and then she didn't even go to her bowl. So, I mean, that's when we decided on Wednesday, when she didn't even had absolutely no inclination to even lift her head to go and eat. We knew this is it. So that is, our animals definitely does tell us what it is. So you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. But that for me is a real reality, and that is when you've got to ask yourself the honest question: is this the quality of life you want to get it? The moment you've got these clients of ours that actually tube feed their pets to keep them alive. And that's when you just need to start asking that question: why are you doing it? Are you doing it for the 2 reasons of guilt? For yourself or for the dog, or because you're scared to make the decision? So my long relax about when is time, for me, the biggest deal cleaner, the major, this is the drawing line, is when the appetite goes and they do not want to eat, because that's when their body starts shutting down. So I think there's this idea of quality over quantity of life. So what do you think does that actually mean in practice on a day-to-day basis? What is the difference between quality and quantity of life?
Maybe if I can use the Ridgeback as an example as well. I always say Ridgeback was born to run, to be free. If he doesn't want to do that, or he can't do that anymore, is he still having quality of life? No, it's maybe an oversimplification, but for me, is there still joy? Do they still have that little twinkle? Or has the eyes just gone flat and dead? Food, definitely, like you said, if they don't want to eat, unless you've ruled out any kind of obstructions, but the other signs, like the eating, not drinking, hiding, they don't join in anymore. I think, again, for each dog it's different, but for me, I definitely the food thing, and if they just don't want to get up anymore, and there's just no more, I don't know. Interesting thing I saw on social media, I don't know which of you guys are following Simon Sitz, Isabel Klee. She's in New York, and she fostered Simon and then adopted him, and he was epileptic, and she's an amazing lady, and the work that she's done. Anyway, so Simon passed away recently, and it was so good to see her process, because it's like she explained, they woke up one day and they decided it is time. The three of them, her and her partner and Simon, it was time. And they held a party, a life celebration, invited all their friends. Everyone came together. She read, she's an author, so she wrote some things that she read for Simon, and everyone got to say goodbye. Hundreds of thousands of people across the world watched it as well. And I think that was and then they decided on the date. So that was the date. And that kind of, that was an eye-opener for me as well. I think having the courage to say, this is our date, and we have made peace with it. So that for me, I think, was a life lesson.
It's a very important thing. No, it's very important. And the thing is so I mean, I think you all know that I rely very heavily on kinesiology. I do think Annelies, that we had on the show before, is one of the people that I use a lot in terms of life energy and in terms of everything that my dogs feel and do, etc. But the first dog that in my adulthood life that I needed to say that we needed to make a decision with was Aburbu Kira. So I've mentioned her a lot. She's been the reason why Pawz People started. And Kira got lymphoma, the really bad one, and we decided because my selfish me was not ready to let go. So we gave her chemo, and they said to us, with chemo, 6 weeks. So chemo is 6 weeks, and after the 6 weeks, the chemo, if she makes it through the chemo, it's going to be shortly after that. So after 6 weeks of chemo, she actually went into full remission, which was for me a miracle. And I then got involved with a lady that helped us a little bit, because I was just always so scared, and that fear that lingers here is, am I making the right decision? So when she was in the middle of chemo, so the chemo that she had was not, I was assured, and we could see it didn't make her feel ill. She had the first one, she was a little bit nauseous, and that was it. But otherwise, it was just improving. And then at one stage said, worked with a communicator, very new to that part of things. And the communicator said to us that Kira said, my mom will know when. And that is such a true thing, because I remember I made my vet promise. I said to Peter, you've got to promise me no matter what. If it's time, you tell me, because I know and I don't trust myself to be able to make the right decision. And the day, 24 months later, she got, she didn't get, her energy was low and she was not that great. And I just took her for a B12 injection at that stage. And I walked in there and Peter looked at her and he wasn't seeing her. One of the other vets was seeing her. And Peter walked in and he said to me, he touched and he said to me, Retha, it's time. And I was so gutted because we didn't set a date and we, so we said, okay, we're going to take her back home. We're going to give her the biggest piece of steak and then we'll bring her back tomorrow. And I phoned my husband, I phoned Zander in the car and he said to me, wait there, don't go, wait there. And he arrived with a kilogram of biltong that we fed her in the car. And she got out of the car and she turned around and she walked into the vet by herself. She just decided this is it. And we said, okay, guys, it's time. We're going to do this. And we all said our goodbyes there. And she was actually so at peace with it. So for me, not having the long day ahead and say we're going to do it and that day at that stage was better, because I just dreaded going home and having to wake up and know now I'm going to have this like sort of the death walk going, taking her to the vet type of thing. So for that worked really well. And then when Ali was diagnosed with a angiosarcoma in her heart in December 2023. It was like somebody took an iron ball, wrecking ball, and just punched it right through my heart, and I couldn't believe it. But she was still doing fine, and we had the time. In that week, she deteriorated. After 3 days after she was diagnosed, she deteriorated quite rapidly. And we then sort of determined that she actually just wants to spend Christmas with the whole family and she doesn't want us to be sad. So we spent Christmas together, and on the 7th we actually had the vet come to our house. And that for me was an amazing experience to do, because of the other dogs having to deal with her past. And I think we'll chat about it in a little while. But that was a different scenario, because we had 10 days that we planned it and we knew it was coming, and we did all the things that she loved. We went to the beach, we did the stuff that she loved, and we spent that time with her, and we all were at peace with it. It was still heartbreaking, but we knew this is what is going to be the best thing. And she also told, she woke up during the day before she passed. I was petrified that she's gonna. I was actually petrified, but I also was hoping that she will just pass on herself, because I think that is the worst part. It's feeling that I've got to make this decision, and it's my hands. I don't like that. I just would like them not to be my and Zander's decision to do. So yeah, it is a different thing. And then with Riley also, we had 2-3 days that we could plan and stuff, and then made the decision the day before tomorrow. That time we're going to go. Stefan took off from work and we all went together and we sat with her and we were together as a family with the people that she loved. So it's a very brave thing to do. It is one of the hardest things to do, but it is that is our responsibility to make the
It's
decision.
our final act of love towards them.
Yes, totally. And it's hard to see that. It's hard to actually realize that the act of love is a death sentence type of thing, but it is.
I think of it more as a release than death itself.
No, it is, and it is, but it is hard. It is one of the hardest things ever to do. And I always try and say to people, clients, and pet parents, just be kind to yourself, first of all, because it is a very, very difficult thing to do. And we've got to be able to make that decisions, which is really not that great. I see we've got a lot of comments here. I don't know if we're going to go through them later. We'll come back to everybody, but thanks for sharing. I really appreciate you sharing stories and giving us some feedback and input.
Do you know, Rita, the other thing that I think that is so important is to have a vet who you trust, who will give you the guidance. Also, because we are so emotional and have to make this difficult decision, but the vet can give you objective advice and give you some clarity in a very, very difficult time. And so I don't know what you feel the role of the vet.
I absolutely feel your vet is absolutely the most important a mentor. I don't know what to call him. So just a little bit. Monday I had almost a scare. Leia tore her cruciate, not just a slight tore. It's off. It's off. Now being almost 12, an operation is not an option. There's a lot of reasons why it's not an option, and I realized we need to make some difficult decisions. And a brace. They were a little bit worried about the brace and his severe allergies and if it's going to cope with that, whatever, etc., etc. And all the way driving back from that, and I had such an in-depth discussion with Dr. Heinmark about how hard it is to make these decisions for our pets. And sometimes it is so unfair to make these decisions, but a vet can really guide you and say, this is, I know that not all vets does, but most vets is doing what they're doing because their love for animals and pets is what makes them do this. And when it gets to that, it is really so important to let your vet guide you, because and the trust between you and your vet needs to be there. And that's why I always feel I want to say to people, if they have to argue with a vet about food and things like that, find another vet, because you have to have such a good relationship with your vet that you know that you can trust him 100% when you need to make this decision, that he's going to guide you. I mean, Peter from Boskraan was amazing. And he walked in there and he just put his hand on my shoulder and he said to me, Rita, it is time. And I trust him immediately because I knew he knows my heart, he knows my dog, and he knows everything about our family and our dog, and we can trust him. It's not that they make the ultimate decision, but they guide you in it. So it really is. It helps. It really does help. So,
No, it's awesome. With Fricky, last couple of weeks ago, when the vet said, you might have 3 months and it's a very painful cancer. And we just looked at each other and said, you know what, let him go. He's happy. And I'm very grateful for the vet for being honest and not kind of pandering to our grief, and to, and having the courage to say, this is it, and this is how it's going to play out. But then also giving us the space to kind of, just confirm the final decision. So I think a relationship with your vet is crucial.
I think, what we can, I sometimes feel we bash vets quite a lot. I do. I'm very critical.
Yeah, we do love them.
It's not that I bash them. I sort of wants to just make it that pet parents understand that communication with your vet is really important. Whether it is about food, whether it's about vaccines, whether it's about medicine, whether it's about anything about your healthcare for your pet. And that's not taking the decision out of your vet's or the knowledge from your vet. It's just telling your vet that this is a partnership. And that is the utmost and foremost, most important thing, is that a vet is a partner. It's like your pediatrician with your children, your GP with your health. It is your partner in this. Our pets can't talk for themselves, so we are their voice. And there's nobody that knows their pets as well as us as pet parents. We know our dogs. We know, or cats, we know exactly what they are. And when anxiety and fear and guilt and all these other things come in caring for your pet, it is really so important that your vet understand that it must be a partnership. It is one of the most important partnerships, in my opinion, between a pet parent and an external person that is part of caretaking of your pet. So it's very, very, very it's a very, very important partnership. And that's why if you find a vet that you can discuss things with, and you can have conversations about and have arguments and listen to each other, but with respect, it is important to hold on and build on that relationship, because we're all going to stand there at some stage with your pets. It's one of those things is like, I know as a child, I grew up, and my grandmother always used to say, and there's only two things that's for sure in life, and that's death and taxes. Okay. And that's very much the same with our pets. We're all going to stand there. The chances that our pets is going to outlive us is actually not that great. And we need to learn from these experiences. So we need that partnership with a trusted vet. And it's also important that your pet must trust your vet as well. That is so important. Feel safe.
Absolutely. Okay. So we both have multiple dogs in our homes, and I'm sure you can tell, the ones that stay behind. Personally, I feel they do grieve. They do feel the loss. We make a point for our dogs to see the one that's.
Are you there, Antonette? Is it me or is it you? Okay. I cannot hear Antonette. I'm not sure if anybody else can hear her. Okay, I think Antonette has disappeared for 5 minutes or not. So I'm trying to see here. Sorry, guys. It's one of those nights again. Okay. So let's just talk about the pets that stays behind. Animals do grieve, and our pets that does stay behind does grieve, and they do have a big loss and a sense of loss. And I've seen it. When Ali passed the vet, we were in our room, and the dogs was in the front of the yard. And when she passed back and started crying terribly, and he rushed to. And what we did is we basically let all the dogs say bye-bye to Ali, because that was important, so that they could see and understand that she is lost. They do understand. The grief, however, was quite big in our house. And I swear by a homeopathic remedy called echinacea. It is, I sometimes use the 200cc. I always have that in my house. There's a lot of things that echinacea do. It's not echinacea, it's echinacea. And if you know this is going to come your way, please try and find some from your homeopath, or let us know. We can arrange something. We can ask Ian. There's a lot of ways that we can get it to you. it really, really helps. It really helps a lot for the feeling of loss, grief, and uncertainty. And I can really say for the pets that stays behind, that is really something that that I recommend to give to your pets, because guys, they're losing a sibling. It's just as bad for them. Isabella, my one beagle, only she suffers from epilepsy. So as a younger dog, she had epilepsy once every 10 months type of thing. And then it went away for quite a while, totally went away. And she's only had, since in the last 4 years, she's had 2 fits. The one was 2 days after Ali passed on, and she had 2 days after Riley's passed on, she had another fit. And that is a form of grief. So we need to look at what at our other dogs. We mustn't just so I can be so quickly focusing inwardly of my grief that I forget that the other dogs has also missed something. So I would really, really recommend that Ignatia is part of your homeopathic medicine cupboard. And we started with Riley. We actually started that evening before, when we knew. We started giving all the dogs some Ignatia. We all took it ourselves as well, so that we can just help them channeling emotion it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think things like keeping to a routine
you need to do?
Yeah. Like practical things, the dogs that stay behind, if you kind of stick to a routine, does that help, you think?
Yes, it definitely does help. It definitely does help. Okay, guys, I'm not a behaviorist, so I'm just talking from my own personal experience. Okay, my dogs, definitely the routine is definitely important. But you know what is the most amazing thing? In every time in my life that we've lost a dog, so I lost a dog. We didn't have to make the choice, and her name was Kayla. She was a 3-year-old Burble, beautiful dog. She was my shadow. She was my strength. She was my everything at that stage in my life. And I went to spar, and when I got back and I opened the gate and she wasn't at the gate, I went ballistic, because then I saw her lie, and she waited at the gate for me always, and she lied a little way further, and I knew she was dead. She had a heart attack. We knew she had a heart condition. She had a heart attack and she died. And I was absolutely devastated. I thought I was going to lose I could not focus as a human being. I thought I was going to lose my sanity in totality. And our other Burbo Kira, that was not my dog. She never showed any interest into me. She was Stefan's dog, and that was her person. The day after Kayla died, Kira turned. She took mannerisms that Kayla had over. She did things that Kayla did for me. She totally took over. And I just think they know, and they sort of know how to support us in a way that that we need there. But the most important thing is to remember these other dogs, keep the routine so that they don't feel anything is wrong with them. And because that's also their grounding structure. So yeah, I do. I try and do that. I try and do it. It's strange as well, because like it's sometimes hard to do. Baggins, when Riley died, Baggins sleeps in his crate. So when we go, his crate is next to my bed. So when we go to bed at night, he goes into his crate and he sleeps. That's where he does. And then around about 4:30 in the morning, he and then we must open the crate, and then he jumps on, and then he comes and lies tight with me. It's like it's cuddle time. The night after Riley died, I mean, we had the podcast, and I had to have such a brave face, because it was number one and I couldn't back out. And I really was emotionally, but it kept my brain busy. After the podcast, I went to bed, and Baggins jumped onto the bed, and he actually lied next to me. And for the next 18 weeks, up until last week, he slept with me. He never went to his grave. And last week was the first time that I did actually felt I'm okay. I don't feel like I don't want to breathe if I think about it. And the strangest thing is, Baggins jumped, went straight to his grave, and he's sleeping in his grave again. So that is where I broke routine. But I think he broke it in order to support me. So
Mm,
we've got to feel that we've got to allow for certain things as well to change a little
mm,
bit within
mm,
emotional and when because you can see when they are supporting us. So yeah,
mm.
but in general, basic routine things needs to happen to stay the same. So
Yeah,
they're so sensitive to so many things.
yeah, absolutely.
Things that is really important to look, and you cannot just say, oh, they're grieving. So have a look, because I have found that a lot, that a dog that grieves becomes so ill that they
Mm,
actually that it becomes a medical emergency. So you need to make sure that they're going to search and look and waiting for the other dog or the cat,
mm,
and stuff like that. I think that is when you that's when you start, when you see they're doing that, pop some some ignatia into them, and because
mm,
that helps as well, and then try and do things and take the attention away from that. It is very, very normal for pets to stop eating when somebody's passed, whether humans
mm,
has passed or whether their pet
mm,
siblings has passed. um, don't fall into the trap of, because that's what a lot of people do, that we stress so much about this that we start hand feeding them and we start fussing over
mm,
food, and that is not a good behavior to do. So
mm,
try and keep meals regularly. If they don't eat and skip a meal, give the next one. Try and make it a little bit more fun, feeding food, giving meal times, than
mm,
just you've got to eat or you'll eat before you die type of scenario. And
mm,
cleanliness is another thing that you
mm,
need to look at. Remember, they are extra contact is a great medicine. Giving them a little bit more love, giving them a little bit of
mm,
more calm and cuddle time,
mm,
because there's anxiety that's happening in them as well when
mm,
this happens. And
mm,
if they're crying and they are unsettling and pacing and things, um, try and take a worn item or something off that pet that's passed, like a
mm,
blanket or a toy, and put it with them, because that might also help and just give them a little bit of comfort.
mm,
And then
mm,
I think with that all, it's very important to have a lot of patience with your pets when this has happened, because they are also
mm.
need to go through the grief. It's important. It's the same as us. Um,
Yeah, and I think it's also the relationship that the dogs have with each other. I remember when D'Artagnan passed away, and he passed very suddenly, and him and Boudica were like besties from the day that she arrived as a puppy. They were about 10 months different in age. The two of them, they were just connected, and then he passed away, and she really struggled. It took her a long time, and I'm talking months, that she was just, it was like everyone in the group was still had their space, but she didn't know where she fitted into this group anymore. So she became more withdrawn. You know, that clinginess. She was like Velcro dog almost with us, but she was reluctant to join in with the other ones because her friend. It's amazing to see how with the dogs how they have a special one in the group that's their friend, and it
and
took her a long time.
and I've actually realized in a big way that you don't always know it while they're alive around. Um, I mean, when Ali was around, Ali was my little Miss Rottermeier. I mean, she ruled the roast in this house. She everybody where they're supposed to be, where they're not supposed to do. That if I say come eat and whatever, she will go and herd everybody to come in. She was a
Mm,
real little.
mm,
She was a little bitch, with all due respect. Very, very. She was very assertive in what she wants, and
mm,
nobody. And she ruled the roast. And
mm,
I never, ever, ever thought that Baggins and her had a special relationship. It wasn't up to the eye. When
yeah.
she passed, he came into the room. He was the first one there. He cried terribly. He was sniffing her out, and then he was standing over her, protecting her. He did not want anybody to come close to her, and he was very protective. And from all the dogs, he was the one that I had to put a lot of attention to, because I could see he felt lost. He felt like he did. And strangely enough, he's now my alpha dog in his way. He took over from him. And I would never thought that Baggins is that close, and that is what his relationship was. And it is, and I could see as well when Riley passed, my male dogs were extremely lost. It took them about 5-6 weeks before they could figure out how they are. So it is amazing to see how different each dog deals with it. Some just go through it, and then 3-4 days and they're over, and that is, and then we're back to normal meals and things like that. So yeah, it is yeah. So just something on when not eating. Remember, just something that's important. Grief is very normal, but total starvation is not. So if we are getting into starvation mode, then you need to get professional help in, whether it is a vet, normally, yeah, and especially with cats, that can happen very easily. That they go actually get to a point where starvation is a real big problem, and it can become something dangerous very quickly. So that is a really flag to look for. Totally, okay. We've covered what an owner can do practice. See, now I've got to look at my crib notes. Okay.
Well, while you look at your crib notes, I mean, we've talked about the grief of the animals that stay behind. But I think us humans, I mean, our grief is so real, and losing a human being is normal, but losing a pet is something that sometimes people don't understand it. They don't get it. We did an article, a gentleman wrote an article for us a little while ago about giving tips about what you say to a pet parent if they've lost a pet. And I mean, and the things not to say. And, another question I often get is like, my pet's died. When is the right time to get a new pet? And I think, you know what, that's each person is to each person. Some people feel immense guilt when they get a new animal because they think that they're betraying the one that's passed away. And how long must we wait? And someone else just goes out and gets another pet almost immediately. And I think it's different for each.
It's so yeah, it is a personal thing. I think that is such a personal thing, and you've got to look at what is the right time and what is the right circumstances and things like that. I've got a lot of dogs, so I've got a lot of dogs to help me go through things like this. Because there is some more. There's one thing that I cannot handle if somebody say it's just a pet, it's just the dog, because then you're actually defriended me. You have made it easy for me to defriend you. I'm sorry, it's not just a dog in my life. And it is. And talking about grief in general from a human being. So I've lost my sister 4 years ago. It's actually, she was diagnosed today 4 years ago of cancer. And it was hard, and it is terrible. And I cannot compare losing my sister versus losing a dog, because it's two total different relationships. But you know what? People sort of doesn't really know what to say to you when you lose a family member or somebody close to you, or a child or a husband or a parent or anything like that. But people understand that you're grieving when you lose a human in your life. More people does not understand losing a pet. So it can be a very lonely thing to work through, because you can't really go and talk to people. I'm so grateful I've got you and the people I work with, that I could vocally say how I feel and felt about them. And I think that is where it's important to get pet parents in your inner circle that you can chat to, or try and get. There is grief. I know you gave me some grief counseling people's numbers, and so, but the biggest and the most important thing is to be kind to yourself, and do not be hard to. Don't judge yourself. The guilt is always a big thing for me. That is it. Was there something that I could, guys, remember, I started Pawz People because I want to have pets live for longer. Then I had a dog that died of a hemangiosarcoma in her heart. I went through a terrible space where I thought, I could have prevented this. I could have done better. And we mustn't go there, because we want to always say, what could I have done to prevent this? What could I have done not to cause this, especially when it comes to illness? So we've got to be kind to ourselves, because we as pet parents really try our utter best with the knowledge we know. And if we've seen the light with our little light that we've got, and our awareness. So do not be unkind to yourself. Be kind, be patient with yourself, and allow yourself to grieve. If you feel like you want to cry, cry. But at people that's gonna judge you because you're crying over a dog, or you're feeling that your life is falling apart because you've lost your dog. It does pass. They will always have a thing. Something that I've done, and that really helps me a lot. And I actually hasn't got it on me today, but I almost wear it every day. And it's not close by, otherwise I would have showed you. I've taken some ashes and I've made a jewelry piece that I wear, and I almost always wear it. And it's, even if you can't see it, it's in close to my heart. And I'm waiting for Riley's, so there will be it's like a little, almost like a Pandora bead that a company does that, and I wear that, and I will stack them up for each dog, and each of them in their favorite color, because for me that feels like I've got something close to me, and it's like just a little symbol of it. I still light candles for my dogs very often. Each one, I get a candle for each dog with their name on, and I light it as often as I can, for memory, and I feel that helps. So I find something that makes you remember the good and the beautiful memories that you've got. Not focus on the sadness, to try and focus on the absolute unconditional love that they give us. And that's all I can say, that how to help us humans, because I actually don't know, because I'm still a mess sometimes. So it is.
Most of us are a mess most of the time when it comes to the dogs. But it's I know some people they have a photo shoot when they know it's that end of life phase, so they'll have photos done. And Lee was with us just before Boudicca passed away, and she sent me a message, says, "Oh, we never did photos with Boudicca." And I said, no, but that's how I wanted it, because that's why I love my phone, because my dogs live on my phone, and then I put them onto my computer, and that's where I see them enjoying life. And it, for me, and again, it's personal, for me, the end of life photographs are almost a reminder of them passing, rather than seeing them young and as puppies and ripping. I've got one of Matassa where he stands there with a flower in his mouth, and my entire garden that I just planted, he had dug that whole thing up and he stood there with this, what was it? I can't remember what flower it was, and he was just stood there, and I got the photo, and that reminds me, and that gives me a happy memory of him, although it took me almost 2 years to be able to talk about him without having a complete meltdown, because that dog was I was there the day he was born, and we had to rush to the vet and he was under my shirt next to my naked skin because his mum had to have an emergency cesarean. And, so that was that. And the day when he passed away was in the office in my arms. So it's, so for me, that reminder of all the naughtiness and all the shit he caused when he was, and that for me is a reminder. But I know there's some, people make foot like the prints in the clay and things like that, all sorts of keepsakes. I think that's beautiful. The memorabilia and the areas that people put aside to kind of remember their pets. I think that's such a beautiful thought.
It is, and you've got to do, and if you don't do, you don't feel bad that you don't do it. So we had a photo shoot in December. I knew 2026 is going to be a year of starting to do, because I've got 2 dogs that's got cancer. We know Riley is already a very rich age for her breed. And we had the photo shoot with Lee, and it was actually so much fun. Because nobody was sick. Now, I lie. At that stage, that was just before we heard that Isabella's got lung cancer. But she just came back from anesthetics because she ripped herself open 2 hours before the photo shoot. She went through a bush and she ripped herself open. She had to get stitches. So she looks all drugged in these photos, but the shoot was so much fun. And it's hard for me to look at those photos. It's very hard for me still at this point in time still, but I'm so glad we did it, because I like to do a professional photo shoot every year or 2 years, if time, or you're like making time for me an issue. But it with me, not just of the dogs, but with me and with my family and us as a family to look at that. So, and Lee did this whole collage of our family. It was actually so much fun doing this whole thing. And when she did a tribute to Riley after she passed, it meant a lot to me. But I can tell you, I cried, and I still cry if I look at it. If it comes up, I still cry. So another thing that I've done for myself, and I do this because that's what worked for me. There's a lot of people that it won't work for. So when my dogs pass, I make a photo, an album on my phone with all the photos that I can find of them, from puppyhood, and I name it. This is Ellie, this is Riley, this is that. And to be honest, I've not been able to do Riley yet because it's hard. It's really hard. And sometimes it takes me a year or 2, and then when I'm ready, then I sort of take that album and I post it. So if you haven't seen an album of Ellie yet, I'm not ready yet to share the memories with it. But photos for me is a big thing, because I will go through that and deal with it. So photos, my little glass bead bubble that I just keep close to my heart, and I can touch it when I feel like it for me is a really, really great. And then the one thing that gives me a lot of comfort is then going back to the other dogs and just reassure them of my love and spend a little bit more. I've got such a busy life, and I'm so busy feeding other people's dogs and doing things like that. My dogs very often get neglected, and sometimes that is my biggest guilt, is that I don't spend enough time with my dogs. And when something like this happens, I've got a big reminder all over my house: spend more time with the dogs. Although they're happy with what they get from me, but spend more time for me as a memory with my dogs. It's the important thing, because it's my memories that is important, and I want to remember that the lack of things we did, the beach walks, silly things. The car rides, Baggins love riding in a car. Some days I just let him in the car, drive around the block and come back and drop him off. But silly things to dogs that your dog loves. Because that's part of the memories with that. So,
Rita, I'm going to give you a gold star. We've done an hour.
Oh my word.
And I think we've managed to choke back the tears quite well.
Oh my word. My lips are sore. I've been biting my
Yeah,
lips a
yeah.
lot.
But
Yeah.
I think just one last thing, we are experienced, if we have experienced the loss and what happens, but there are people who are first time pet owners and they don't know what's going to happen. What is the whole euthanasia? What does the dog feel pain? I think maybe to finish off, just give a little bit of reassurance about that final process for our new pet parents.
Okay, if you haven't been through this, count yourself extremely lucky, because it is not nice, but it is also the biggest gift that you can ever give your pet. It is one of the most important things that you can do, is be there in the final moments. So it is simple. You make an appointment with the vet. So I like it to be at my home if possible, or then at least go to a vet where they don't feel afraid and where they don't feel scared, because that is the last memories that you're gonna have. They're not gonna know, guys. They're not gonna know after that. They're not gonna have the memories, but we're gonna have the memories. And having a pet go in and that's fearful and scared is not nice. So my choice is to go to a vet where I know they like to go. My pets has definitely got favorite vets. They well, if their tail is wagging going in there, that is a great scene to start it off. And then what will happen? They will give it a little sedation. So just like normal anesthetic, just give it a little sedation, and it. I was guided so nicely through with Riley, and Dr. Barry said to us, like there's a sedation, and then we're going to start giving the final shot. And for the dog, because she's been on pain meds for a while, she might take a little bit longer, and this is what's going to happen. So normally your vet will talk you through it, but it is a sedation. They go to sleep, and then they just silently pass. It's not a traumatic thing at all. It's more traumatic for you when you actually feel that, like Ellie, I held in my arms, and I could feel here her body, the life is going out of her body. So yeah, it's simple. It really is daunting. It's a dreadful moment, but it is also such a special moment, knowing that you are holding them safe in that last. And it's usually very quick. It really is usually very quick, and it is not painful. Yeah, it's like just taking. Somebody said to me once, a vet said to me once, it's just like giving them an overdose of pills. They are just not going to sleep peacefully and then never wake up. So
Yeah.
that is the bad part. Sorry that I've got to share this with you guys, but yeah. And then you've got to make a decision. So there's options you can. I don't think if you stay in town or in a residential area, I'm not sure about the bylaws. I don't think you're allowed to bury your dog at home. I'm not sure. I know on farms a lot of. I think you guys do. You've got a specific place. My choice is to do cremation. Okay. So there is. A cremation, there is a home burial, and then you also get pet memorial gardens that you can do. I don't know how big pet memorial gardens really is in South Africa. I know overseas that it is quite big. And yeah, so I like I prefer the cremation thing, and then we you normally plant a tree with the ashes in it. The tree is something that can go with me. It should normally a cycad that I use, because it's something that I treasure and it's part of it. So yes, and then I've spoken about the keepsakes and things. There's amazing companies that does it. Most companies have got some catalogs. I actually think we should have thought about this and got a little bit of input from companies that does that, but it's something that I have got a list in the Western Cape of companies that does that. We can put a list for somebody if they need to know that does that. Yeah, so that is what you can expect.
Yeah.
And and then be. The bad thing for me is normally, so when you then get, if you cremate, you get the ashes a little while ago, and we literally Wednesday Riley went, and Friday the ashes were ready, and I was so not prepared for that. So that is a very good. So once you get the ashes, then you can decide what you want to do with them, and etc. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for
So,
being with us on this. I don't want to say morbid, but a very necessary, very emotional
it is
topic, but a very
necessary.
necessary topic to have. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I think I'm talking for myself, I'm so privileged to be surrounded with people that really, really, really has got so much love for animals, and that's such an emotional support system for me. Even though we don't have direct, I know the messages that I get from people and the support from that, and talking to my team and talking to you and my vet team and whatever, is I'm really blessed to have an unbelievable emotional support system when it comes to pets and my pet's health, and we're not losing somebody. It is really a blessing, and for everybody that has played a little bit of a role, I know there's a lot of people watching that has been part of my grievance and process of healing. A lot of love and a lot of light and thank and gratitude for the role you play for me as a pet.
Yeah.
It is really, really important.
Yeah. No, I think we've got an amazing community as well. And they understand, and when we see the posts go up on social media of another 4-foot that has left this world, then we feel the pain with them. So,
I
yeah.
mean, if I
But
see any of our clients losing a pet, it almost feels this like I've lost a pet. For me, is such a, it is such a.
they're
Sorry,
saying that
guys.
the hour is up.
Yeah, Stefan just arrived home, and then it is yeah, the dogs is telling you are late or something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. But
it is, and I mean, I feel so involved in every client's life, and losing a client's pet for me is heartbreaking. And then I always try to think is how bad it must be for them if I feel like this. So if any one of you've gone through it lately, I know Karen has lost her Irish Wolfhound last week. Just young boy that just dropped dead, and it's very traumatic. I've actually had a lot of clients losing their dogs and their pets lately. All these sick, ill dogs, and unforeseen passings. So yeah, it's been. We are sending you lots of love, hugs, and strength to, and remember them with lots of love.
and we'll
I
see
want to
them all
say
again. That I
we
know.
will. They're waiting for us on the other side of the rainbow
Absolutely.
bridge. Yeah. So I totally believe, and I totally believe they are such an integral part of what we are and who we are growing to. That
Absolutely. I wouldn't
yeah.
I wouldn't want the world without them.
No,
So I'll
no,
take the
no, no.
pain. But because
I
I
take
couldn't.
the pain, but I must be honest with you. I would still do every single possible thing in my life so that my dogs can live forever, because that is that
Well,
is
at least
just,
as
it
long as
is
I
so
do.
hard. But that is there's that poem. I'll find it and then I'll post it on the thing. Is the word of the little boy, not a poem, is saying of the little boy saying why dogs die
Yes.
before us.
Yeah.
And
It's
for
beautiful.
me, that is a really, 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 really a very beautiful thing. And then there's a song that I